Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and a very special episode of the Thomas Thrift Store Haul series. We have reached the 20th episode of the series! Yippee! I can't believe there's been so many episodes, and I'm glad you all enjoy the series. Since this is a special event, we will be taking a look at the most amount of Thomas the Tank Engine merchandise in an episode to date. I've been collecting many engines and rolling stock over the past few months, so this is going to be a pretty long episode. There's all sorts of engines to take a look at. Will they be trash or treasure? Let's find out. As always, we'll take a look at the diecast range first. Our first item is the take and play version of Kevin. This version of the character is pretty good. I like all the detail they added, and I really like that the motor, or engine I guess, is fully detailed too. The wheels are very nice too. This was made before Mattel started to just use the regular train wheels for Kevin, instead of car wheels with tires. As much as I like this item, I can't really use it with the Trackmaster range, as the Take and Play Kevin is way too big. The next few items are just tenders for various engines. Here we have the Take and Play engine tenders for Molly, Gordon, Spencer, and Hero. Next up is an Adventures Thomas. Not much to say about it. And here we have an Adventures tender for Merlin. The last two diecast items are for the All Engines Go series. Here we have Kana from the Mountain Engine set. This is a pretty good version of the character. I like the gemstone details and the face is pretty good too. And the last diecast item for this episode is Darcy. I was really excited to find this at a thrift store, as not only is she exclusive to the Mountain Engine pack, but this is the best version of the character we have gotten. Considering this is a Thomas reboot item, it has a great amount of detail. The drill on the front can spin and move up and down, there's lots of vents and rivet detail, and these really nice caterpillar tracks. And yes, she does actually fit on Trackmaster track. Not that she needs to go on railway tracks, cause Darcy is a road vehicle. Also, I really like that it's in scale to Trackmaster engines and rolling stock. So yeah, pretty awesome item. Though, I can't help but think about why there is so much All Engines Go merchandise in thrift stores. Like, it hasn't been around that long and I'm already finding it in thrift stores. It's almost like the original show was better. Next up is the Thomas Wooden Railway range, and we'll take a look at the rolling stock first. Here we have a plastic barrel truck, Vickerstown Diesel Works truck, which is made out of wood. I would have thought that they would have used those plastic ones, but it seems to be a new mold. And the last truck is this Sodor cement truck. Not a very realistic looking freight wagon, but a pretty fun one. I really like that the cement barrel spins when going along the track. Next up is... Oh, right. I totally forgot about the early engineers range for the wooden railway. So, yeah, these are not great. They don't resemble the characters from the show very well and just don't need to exist. They do the same thing the regular wooden railway trains do, but just look even less like the engines in Thomas. And we have two more to take a look at. Also, that face. Next up is the early engineers Henry. Okay, I know I just said I don't like these, but I'm happy to have the Henry from this range as he's my favorite character, so I'm always happy to get a new version of Henry. It still doesn't look very good though. The last early engineers character is Rosie. Like Henry, it's always cool to get different versions of the character, but this is not very good. Moving on, here we have the Wooden Railway Jack Frost Percy. This is a really cool item. I really like how the ice is made out of like rubber or something. The exclusive face expression is great as well. I actually have another one, and I thought this one was a factory error as it just says Percy on the chassis, but both of them are like that. Next up is the Wooden Railway Paxton. There's a surprising amount of detail, like the wheels being painted and the inclusion of a buffer beam. Overall, a pretty good item, but there's not much else to say about it. Here's the Wooden Railway version of Alfie. Like I said before, I think the Thomas Wooden Railway range is fantastic at making the road vehicles, and Alfie is no exception. Lots of detail, and looks like the character from the show. This is the first version of Alfie I have in my collection, and I can't use it with my Trackmaster engines as it's too big. Guess I'm gonna have to get the Take and Play one. Continuing with the non-rail vehicles, here's the Wooden Railway Isabella. Again, really nice item, and the only version I have. Unfortunately, the back of the truck is missing. Overall, it's a really nice item though. The next two items are technically part of the Wooden Railway range, and, well, it's Thomas Wood. The first wood item is Birdie the Bus, and wow, it's still hard to believe that at one point these were in stores. The Thomas Wood range is just awful, and the fact that Mattel thought that this was something that people would like is just baffling. Easily one of the worst things Mattel has made for this franchise. Anyway, the item is just bad. Absolutely nothing about it is good. Same can be said for the other wood item, that being Diesel 10. However, there is actually one thing that I do like about this item. I like that Diesel 10's claw can spin around. That's pretty neat, but yeah, still a bad item. The last Wooden Railway item is an absolutely fantastic one, and I can't believe I found it in a thrift store. Here's the incredible 2022 Wooden Railway Nia. This item is just so good. The incredible amount of detail, the scaling, just the overall quality is great. I love the 2022 Wooden Railway range, as most, if not all, the engines look very close to the show, and I really appreciate that we got this range in an era of the show where detail and realism isn't really a thing. Overall, this is a fantastic item, and I really hope that Mattel doesn't discontinue the range. Also, this item is a factory error, as it's missing the buffer beam detail on the front, so that's cool. Next up is my favorite merchandise range, Trackmaster. We'll take a look at the rolling stock first. Here we have the flatbed and log truck from the Thomas and Ace pack, the troublesome truck and slate truck from the Muddy Thomas pack, always nice to get these new style troublesome trucks, and the last truck is a Tomy troublesome truck. It's not in the best condition, but this is one that I didn't have in my collection, so that's nice. Next up is a 2009 Mattel Trackmaster Thomas. Now, I know this is a really common item, but I wanted to mention a really cool feature about these specific versions of Thomas. So there's actually 3 different versions of this specific Thomas. If we take a look at the chassis, you can see that the front of these engines are all different. There's one where the front part of the chassis is blue, another one where the front part of the chassis is actually blue, but it was just painted red, and a third version where the front part of the chassis is made with red plastic. The one that we have here is the blue variant. So yeah, that's a cool fun fact. The battery terminals are a little corroded, but it's an easy fix. Overall, the engine is in pretty good condition. Next up is a really cool item, as I didn't have it before, that being the Trackmaster Talking Gordon. This version of the character is pretty good. It's basically the regular Trackmaster Gordon, which is also the original Tomy one, but with a few differences. Of course, the main difference is that it can talk, but the tender is much bigger and the buffers are placed kinda weird on the front. Like, why are they like that? Also, I don't like how big the tenders are for the talking engines. They look so out of scale behind the train. Anyway, let's see the condition of the battery terminals. Anyway, aside from a few paint scratches and the broken engine and tender coupling, it's in pretty good condition. Not a bad version of Gordon. Next up is the Trackmaster Hero, specifically the Mattel version. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite Trackmaster engines. I know, it's not perfect, and to most people, it's probably not even a top 10 best Trackmaster engine. But I have so much nostalgia for this item. I'm not gonna go into the lore as to why I like this item so much, as I'll be saving that for when I make a Trackmaster custom of Hero. Unfortunately, it's in pretty bad condition. The stickers are coming off, there's paint scratches, and it's missing the side rods. I couldn't even open the engine as the screw was rusted and just crumbled. Still, this engine has so much detail and is a really good item. Next up is the Trackmaster 2 James. It's in good condition, but there's not much to say about it. And the last Trackmaster item is the All Engines Go Cranky. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to find this at a thrift store, as Cranky is exclusive to the Cave set from All Engines Go. He can lift his crane arm up and down and can carry cargo. Overall, a nice item. We have a few Thomas minis for this episode. We have glow-in-the-dark James, Victor, and Millie. Next up are some Thomas media items. First up is this Railway Series book. On one side, it has the story, Thomas and the Breakdown Train, and on the other, Thomas and the Trucks, or Thomas and the Freight Cars. Yeah, I got this book mainly because I found this interesting. And the last Thomas media item is this Best of Percy DVD. I got this because I like the face on the cover. It looks so cool. I never knew that they made this. But yeah, not much else to say about it. And last but not least, we have the Miscellaneous Thomas merch. First up are two James engines from the Busy Book series. I always like these items, lots of great details. Next up are two Thomas engines. These are super cool looking as they look so accurate to the show. These have wind-up motors, and I believe these came with a book that the trains can go on. I have two other Thomases that are similar to these, but the new ones are so much better. I really miss when every piece of Thomas merchandise had this amount of detail and quality. Next are some very interesting track pieces. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this track system is for the Tomica Diecast range of engines. These are really cool and seem to be based on the movie Day of the Diesels, so that's pretty cool. We have 3 curved track, 3 straight tracks, and 2 three-way tracks. Next up, we have some Mega Bloks items. Here's the Mega Bloks Henry, which is missing the cab. It's an okay version of the character, and the wheels remind me of the wooden railway trains. The other Mega Bloks item is this truck. Not much to say about it. Here we have this Thomas, which is made out of a very soft plastic. Not sure where it's from, but it has a surprising amount of detail. Next up is this Thomas engine with Trevor the traction engine. This item is made by Tomy, and is a very classic item. It has a pullback feature so that when you pull Trevor, Thomas races down the tracks. Really fun item, and has good detail. Here's another Thomas item made by Tomy. This one, I'm not sure where it's from though. The Thomas engine is very similar to the previous one we took a look at, but has a string on the front to pull it. It also has a troublesome truck to go along with it. Next up is a really cool item. It's the interactive Talking Thomas engine. This item is really awesome as it has lots of fantastic detail and says a lot of different things.
Hello, friend. It's me. push me along to sing some songs. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, feel the rhythm, let the trains go by as we go by. We're the team, Beth and Steve, making tracks to discovery.
So yeah, overall an incredible item. I really like it. And our last item for today's episode is this amazing piece of Thomas the Tank Engine artwork. It's on a piece of wood and is super nice. I love the art and detail on this piece. Just such a nice item and has lots of quality. I suppose this piece is supposed to be based around Christmas time, as you have station workers loading presents from one of the vans, Thomas's driver giving a present to Sir Topham Hatt, and probably my favorite thing about this piece is that Sir Topham Hatt is giving Thomas some oil. That is just adorable. I love it so much. And that's about everything. This was a really big video and took a while to make, but I had a lot of fun making it. Let me know in the comments what item was your favorite. There was so much awesome stuff, but I think my favorite would have to be the Thomas painting. It just looks so good, and what can I say? It's a classic.